Hello! Sorry that this video is going up a little bit late. It's actually Tuesday night now that I'm filming this, but I didn't get a chance to film it before because I've been working a lot this week, and I was going to film this today, but then I went out. So now I've had a couple of drinks, and so I just thought, I'm a little bit buzzed. It would be really fun to do a get to know me video. So that's what we are. So I thought the fun thing to do would be to do one of the YouTube tag videos with the general questions, and I thought we'd look up a theatre related one. So I've got a lot of musical theatre related questions on my phone that I'm going to be answering for you, because I thought you'd might like to know those. So here we go. Question 1. What was the first musical you ever saw? So I can't remember the very first musical that I ever saw. Because we have like a theatre in my hometown, and I've seen a lot of shows there, like all of my life, so I cannot remember for the life of me what the very first show I ever saw was, but the first show I ever saw in the West End was Wicked. So I was about 9 or 10, Wicked had only just come out, just transferred over to the West End, and I saw the advert for it on TV, and I went and begged my parents to let me go and see the show. We went to see it, and I loved it. It was amazing. I think we saw the very first West End cast, obviously not the very first Broadway cast, so we didn't see Adina and Kristen Chenoweth and stuff, but we saw the first cast over here, and it was really, really good. I had the best time. I was so impressed by it. So that's, the very first West End musical that I ever saw. Question 2. What was your favourite musical growing up? So I was actually having this conversation with someone the other day. I cannot remember, or I cannot not remember, but I can't necessarily say what my favourite musical of all time is, because I like a lot of musicals. I don't think there's any one that really stands out to me above the rest. I like a lot of different things for a lot of different reasons. But the one that's always kind of struck me has got to be Legally Blonde, the musical. So that was the very first soundtrack I ever owned. So it was one of the first things I ever really learned off by heart, and I know all the characters, and I would really love to direct it because I have so many ideas of how I would do it. And I love Legally Blonde in general. I love the soundtrack, I love the musical, I love the movie, I love all of it. So if I had to pick a show, that's going to be it. Question 3. Were you ever in a musical? So I've actually been in several musicals. In fact, I've lost count of how many musicals I've been in. So I started doing Amdram at about age 7. It's something I've always kind of known that I wanted to do. But again, we have a theatre in my local, it's quite a small community where I live, before I moved to London. But we have a theatre. So because of that, there's a lot of Amdram companies. So a lot of kids here get involved in theatre at a very young age. And I was very much one of them. So I got really into theatre. In fact, the very first time I was on stage, I believe, was age 2, shockingly enough. And the very first time I started really caring about theatre, I joined my first Amdram company, was age 7. And I've just done musicals on and off since then. So I've done countless musicals. I've done various pantos. I've done Aladdin twice. I played Princess Jasmine and I've played Aladdin. Most recently we did a musical version of A Midsummer Night's Dream. That was a lot of fun. I've done Back to the 80s. I've done Bye Bye Birdie. Have I done Grease? Probably done Grease. I've just done a whole bunch of different things. So yes, I have been in several musicals and I love it, and I plan to be in many, many more. Question 4. What was the first musical you ever saw on Broadway? I've actually never seen a show on Broadway. I've never even been to New York, shockingly enough, because I'm actually half American. But I've been to the southern states where my family live. But yeah, I've never seen a show on Broadway. But recalling back to my earlier answer, the first show I saw on the West End was Wicked. And since moving to London, I've seen many, many more shows in the West End. Question 5. If you could be any female character in a musical, who would you be and why? So a lot of people have their dream role that they would love to play, and it's oh, that's it. Once I've played them, that's the goal. But for me, I've never really had a set character or show that I really want to be. For me, it's kind of every time I see a show, there's a new character, and I think, oh, if I was in the show, I would really want to play them. So there's like a whole bunch of characters. So going back to the first show I saw on the West End, which was Wicked, I would really, really like to play Elphaba. In fact, I'd actually quite like to play Glinda as well. I find her quite interesting. I don't know if I have the vocal range for it, because if you can't tell, my vocal range is not quite low, but it's not. I mean, I can get it up there, but that's not where it's entirely comfortable, if that makes sense. But Elphaba is very much within my kind of thing. If we're going more classic musical, I'd really like to play Eponine in Les Mis. Who else do I want to play? I'd like to play Lauren in Kinky Boots, going back to my most recent review. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a set character that I've always wanted. Actually, I will say, going back to Legally Blonde, so as much as I'd love to play Elle, I'd really like to play Enid, who is like a minor character in Legally Blonde, but she has this bit in one song where she does this like really intense, really fast-spoken solo bit about being a feminist, and it's quite funny and it's quite witty, and I've always found her quite interesting, so she's always been one for me that I would really like to play. Question 6. Which male character? Same again. Every show I think, okay, I would really like to play that character, or I'd really like to play this character. And one thing that I actually haven't mentioned on this channel yet, so I know I did my Pride video last week, but I haven't necessarily done a full-on, I guess, coming out video. So I don't really see it as a coming out thing, because I'm already very much, well, not out, like I never really came out to anybody. It's just something that I've always been very there with and very comfortable with, but I'm gender fluid. So for me, I see, oh, I'd like to be this male character just as often as I think I'd like to be this female character. So I've actually played several male characters, and in fact, I think I've played more main male roles than I have female roles. So I've played Joseph K in The Trial. Like I said, I played Jasmine and Aladdin in 2 different versions of Aladdin. I just played Joe in The Long Road. Yeah, so while I don't think there's a male character that I would particularly like to play, the same as there's no female character that I really want to play, for me it kind of goes either way. Like, I'm very much open to playing either. But yeah, there's no set character that I'd really want to be. Question 7. Which musical song do you like to sing in the shower? So I'm very much, we were actually having this conversation at the pub earlier today. So for me, my shower songs are always very musical theatre related. So I will just whack through my entire musical theatre repertoire in the shower. It just depends what takes my fancy at the time. But I will say one that I particularly, so I like belting in the shower because I can. Like, not that I can belt, but what I mean is it's nice to be on your own in a little quiet room with a nice acoustics. You know how showers are. And I like to belt there. So one song that I do enjoy doing when I'm just kind of in my own company is As Long As He Needs Me from Oliver. That's another character actually that I'd like to play. I'd like to play Nancy. But yeah, that's one for me. And there was a time a couple of years ago I was preparing for an audition, and I was singing As Long As He Needs Me as loud as I possibly could in the shower, and my neighbours in the detached house next door screamed at me to shut up because I was that loud. So I would take that as a huge compliment personally. Question 8. Who is your favourite theatre actress? So again, this isn't really something that I've paid that much attention to. I really like Idina Menzel as out there as, well, as obvious as that one is. Like, I'm not, well, I am kind of one for being like, oh, I like this really obscure person that nobody knows, but I like Idina. I think she's really good, and I have a lot of respect for her. I think she's very talented. I also like, oh, what's her name? One second. I also really like at the moment Sara Bareilles. I think that's how you pronounce her surname, who's just been in Waitress. I actually haven't seen Waitress yet, but I'm a really big fan of the song She Used to Be Mine. And I just really like her voice. I think she's so unique, and she's got this really fine line between musical theatre and pop and ballads. And I just think she's extremely talented, and I really like her. Another musical theatre actress that, well, I wouldn't say she's my favourite, but I have very mixed feelings about Carrie Hope Fletcher. So I'm going to be seeing her live for the first time at the end of this month in Heathers. And I saw a bootleg of her in Addams Family. And I actually found out not long ago that my sister saw her in Les Mis when she was playing, I think, Eponine. And I've always had very mixed feelings about her. Recently, though, I've gotten very into... Sorry about that, my camera just cut out. I'm not really sure why, but yeah. So I was talking about Carrie Hope Fletcher. So recently I've gotten a lot more into her. So I've been watching like her YouTube channel and trying to... It's not really that I dislike her. I don't really know how I feel about her. So I'm very intrigued to see her in Heathers and kind of make my decision about her from there. Question 9. Who is your favourite theatre actor? Same again, don't really have anyone out there that I'm just like, oh my god, I'd love to, no one that's really up there. But if I had to pick someone, I'm a huge fan of Darren Criss. Like, I would love to work with him. I'd love to see him live. I've never seen him in anything live, but like the stuff that he did with Star Kid and the stuff that he's doing now, I really like his work. I think he's a really interesting person. He's very talented. So if I had to pick an actor, it would be him. I like him a lot. Question 10. Favorite film adaptation of a musical? So I wasn't entirely sure about this one. I had to think about it. And I think if I had to choose one, because, I mean, that's a very broad question, and there's a lot of very good film adaptations of musicals, but I think if I had to pick one, and I'm pretty sure this one was a musical first, it's going to have to be the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, the film is fantastic. I mean, it's iconic. It's a cult classic. It's amazing, and I've seen one of the stage versions and the film version many, many times. I've seen the film version of the stage version, but I just think the film version is so good. So yeah, if I had to pick a film of a musical, like, that's its own ball game right there. Like, it's created a whole new league for film musicals. Question 11. What do you think is the most underrated musical? Really tempted to say The Grinning Man again. I know it's really new, but it was so good. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of shows. So I'm reading someone else's answer. There's a lot of shows that are out there that have been made really big. So like Wicked, Les Mis, Phantom, Hamilton were recently that are really out there. But if I had to choose something underrated, trying to think what's really good. But things like The Green Man, things that are very unique, very much their own, very different, kind of creepy, are very much my thing. And I don't think they get as much acknowledgement as the big shows. I don't really know how to describe it. But yeah, anything like that. Question 12. What do I think is the most overrated musical? The ones I just listed. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that Wicked, Les Mis, Phantom, Hamilton are all absolutely amazing. I actually haven't seen Phantom yet. I need to do that. I know. shoot me. But I think those are all, from what I know about them, I've seen the other three, are all amazing, but they very much become the default, oh, we're going to go to the West End, or we're going to go to Broadway, and we're going to go see a show. Those are the only 4 shows we've ever heard of. You know what I mean? And that's why they're racking up such expensive tickets when there's really good shows on that people know nothing about. But yeah, that kind of vibe. And I'm not saying they're overrated and that they're not good enough. I'm just saying that, yeah, you know what I mean. Shows that are really like, you think of West End and you think of about 4 shows, when actually there's countless shows on the West End that are so good and so unappreciated. And then there's shows that are going to be on for decades. Not because they're not, I mean, they're really good. There's people going to see the same shows over and over and over again and not giving other shows a chance, is what I mean. Moving swiftly on, question 13, what musical made you cry? So, I have kind of a weird thing about this. So I work in a theatre, and I've discovered that the older I've gotten and the more shows that I've worked, and the more shows that I've been in, and the more shows that I've seen, the more emotional I get. So it's reached the point where I very rarely enter a theatre without crying over something, and it will be the most trivial thing, like something really weird or stupid or simple will happen. I'll be like, oh, that's so sweet. And I do put a lot of thought into, oh my god, this means this relates back to that, and no. So every show in the last few years has just, with the weird, really weird exception of Les Mis, I didn't cry when I watched Les Mis, and I don't know why. So I cried when I watched the film, because I saw the film first, and the ending just got me. And then I saw it on stage, and I thought I was going to just be absolutely gushing. And I just wasn't. I have no explanation for it. I just sat there like, okay, it's over. There is actually a reason that I think I didn't get as emotional as I could have or would have, but I'm going to leave that to my Les Mis review, which I will be doing eventually. So I'm not going to spoil that in this. Question 14. What musical made you laugh? You know what? I'm going to go off West End for this and talk about other things that I've seen. So I have a very good sense of humor, and I like funny stuff. I very much prefer comedies to tragedies to romances, whatever. I like funny shows. So there's a lot of shows that I've seen. And I mean, every show I've seen has made me laugh at some point, because I sometimes will just laugh at the most inappropriate times of something that's completely not funny, and I'll be like, ha! But shows that have been comedies, but all around really good shows in general, I'm going to backtrack a little way on myself and say Star Kid shows. So everything that Star Kid have done, from A Very Potter Musical to Me and My Dick to Trail to Oregon to everything that I've seen of theirs, and I haven't seen all of their shows, but I've seen most of them. Twisted is a very, very good one. All of their shows that I've seen have had me absolutely cracking up. They have had me in tears. They are so good. So, yeah. If I had to choose a show or shows that made me laugh, anything of theirs. So I'm actually reading on here. So the version that I've got with the questions on my phone has actually got people's responses to it as well. And someone on here has said Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which I hadn't really thought about, but I saw that last year, just an amateur production of it. The same company actually that have just been at my work doing My Fair Lady this week. And Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, yes, I will say that was very funny as well. That was a very good show. So yeah, that too. But mostly Star Kid is definitely up there. If you haven't seen a Harry Potter musical, the whole thing's on YouTube. They put it on YouTube themselves. I highly recommend watching that. If you like Harry Potter, you will love this show. Question 15. Are there any musicals that you saw and hated? I don't think I've ever hated a musical. Because I'm very critical with shows, which is why I do my YouTube channel reviewing them. So I very much am for and against with things. Like, I like to analyze every detail. And I can't say there's ever been a show that I completely hated. I've never walked out of a show. I've never been entirely disappointed in a show. Actually, that reminds me. Going back to a musical that made me laugh, I completely forgot about Avenue Q. I just remembered that. That one, in answer to the previous question, Avenue Q is very much up there. I don't know why. I don't know what just reminded me of that, but it did. Really good show. That's the answer to the last question. But racking my brain of all musicals that I've seen, there's never been anything that I really hated. But there have been shows that I saw a lot of fault with. And the one that immediately springs to mind is 42nd Street, which is another show that I'm planning on doing a review on. So I will explain more in detail about that. But 42nd Street, I had very much for and against opinions about. So yeah, if I had to go with a show that's probably my least favourite show that I've seen in the West End, 42nd Street is definitely up there. Question 16. What show would you like to see as a musical? What show would you like to see as a film? I've actually already answered this question in my review of it, and that's The Grinning Man. I really, really want to see a Tim Burton-esque, creepy, gothic, musical, animated film, or what this was, that of The Grinning Man. I think that would be absolutely spectacular. That's it. Question 17. What musicals are you dying to see? I'm desperate to see the Book of Mormon, so I actually haven't seen that yet. It looks amazing. I've seen bits of it online, but I haven't seen the whole show, and I'm trying to avoid spoiling it for myself. But it just looks so good. That's completely my kind of show. Like, it looks so funny. The soundtrack is amazing. Everything about that is so my kind of thing. Yeah. Okay. Question 18. Any movie or book that you think should be turned into a musical? So there's been sort of several films that I've seen and books that I've read that I've thought, oh my god, I know that I've thought, oh my god, this should really be a musical, like this would be really good done in this way. Like, I have that thought a lot, and not many of them are springing to mind right now, but one, the me that I've always been, or sort of in recent years, thought if I was to direct this as a musical, this is how I would do it and I'd really enjoy it, and that is Alice in Wonderland. So I've always thought, like, I've never been a huge fan of the story of Alice in Wonderland, but I've always thought if you did it right, like if you made it quite creepy and gothic, but it's also a Disney-owned thing, so you could put in a bit of Disney magic and make it very interactive. It could be a really cool show. Like, there's so many different angles. So I'm very much a fan of, like, the Alice Madness Returns vibe. Like, I would want it very intense, very scary, very not realistic, but, like, the realism, the drug aspect to it rather than the happy cutesy Disney stuff. So yeah, if there's one thing that I've always thought, I'd really like to do this like that, that's gonna be it. And I think, yep, this is our last question. Question 19, what is your all-time favorite musical? So, as I said earlier, I don't have a favorite musical, but I do really like Legally Blonde. I feel like this is such a cop-out, as in the last question was the same answer as the first question, but I really like Legally Blonde. At the moment, my favorite musical that I've seen on stage is The Grinning Man. That was amazing. But there are so many shows that I've seen and loved, and so many shows that I haven't seen but I think I would love. So honestly, I've never been I'm the most indecisive person with this. So I don't have a favorite musical, I don't have a favorite play, I barely have a favorite movie, I don't have it took me ages to get a favorite song, I don't have a favorite Disney film, I don't really have a favorite anything. Like, I'm atrocious for this. But at the moment, The Grinning Man, overall, Legally Blonde. So that was my musical theatre tag. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in my next video. If you would like me to review a show, if you would like me to do another theatre tag, if you have any questions that you would like me to answer, feel free to comment them below, and like and subscribe, and I will see you next week. Bye.